Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nela Rosita. I will deliver presentation about the differences between two languages. In this presentation, I will take differences between English and Japanese language. The scope of discussion in this presentation, the first is introduction, alphabet and phonology, grammar and vocabulary, and the last is conclusion. I will start with the introduction. Japanese seems to exist in a language family of its own, although some linguists believe it might be related to Korean and Turkish. It is spoken as a mother tongue by the 113 million people in Japan and by expatriates across the world. There are very significant differences between Japanese and English, particularly in a sentence structure, which make it hard for most Japanese ESL students to acquire English at the same rates as, for example, their German or Swedish peers. Okay, the next is alphabet. The Japanese writing system is complex. What does it mean? It in Japanese uses three main scripts. The first is kanji, character of Chinese origin, hiragana, and katakana. Modern Japanese also uses the Latin script in advertising. And the traditionally Japanese is written and printed in column from top to bottom and from right to left. Books start at the back. Modern Japanese is written or printed in the same order of words on the page as English. Despite these differences, Japanese learners of English rarely have particular difficulties with English writing. Latin script, and English in particular, is encountered by most Japanese in their everyday life from an early age. It is also commonly used in Romaji. Romaji is the representation of the entire Japan writing system in Latin script, used for example for a computer keyboard input or to help non-native speaker learn the language. And the next is phonology. The first is Japanese has 5 pure vowel sounds that might be short or long. So the syllable structure is simple, generally with the vowel sound preceded by one of approximately 15 consonant sound. There are few complex consonant sound combinations such as in the English word strength of or Christmas. As a result of this difference, Japanese ASL student is find English hard to pronounce. And the next is intonation. The intonation pattern of Japanese and English do not have many features in common. Some of the meaning that the English native speaker conveys by stress and or a change of pitch is differently expressed in Japanese. For example, by adverbial. Learners often benefit from explicit instruction and practice in these areas. In general, however, those learners who have had significant exposure to English and have become competent in it often acquire much more natural English prosody than, for example, Spanish or French with comparable level or English proficiency. The next is grammar and vocabulary. In grammar, Japanese tense and voice are conveyed through change in the verb form as in English. What is different is that Japanese has no auxiliary verb, so predictably, the formation of the progressive or perfect tense and question or negation in the simple tense causes problem for learner. Japanese verb do not change for person or number. the most common consequence of which is the omission of the article s in the present simple third person. For example, she go blah 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 or my father walk blah blah blah. And the differences in the circumstance in which English and Japanese use the passive and in the ways it's constructed may result in sentences such as he was cut his hair when we were you go come to Germany. And the grammar other in Japanese has a subject, object, verb, word order or preposition. Follow the noun and superlative conjunction. Follow the clause other particle. For example, to express interrogation. And the vocabulary is a large number of English words are used in Japanese. This might help some learners with their acquisition of English vocabulary. Okay, the last is conclusion. Many of the difficulties that Japanese learners have with English are not due to problems in the language itself, but are more the result of cultural differences. Communication between any two people in Japan is heavily influenced by aspects such as age, sex, relationship, and relative status. The Japanese generally have an aversion to assertiveness and seek to avoid embarrassment to themselves and their interlocutor. There is a respect for abstraction which is alien to many plain-speaking Westerners. All of this can cause Japanese learners to struggle to find the best way to express themselves and result in the production of English that native speakers may find excessively vague or tentative. So, the Japanese is a very difficult, bukan hanya di dalam alfabet, fonologi, dan sebagainya untuk mempelajari bahasa Inggris, tapi juga dalam budayanya yang berbeda. Okay, thank you. That's all my presentation today. Thanks for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.